700 horses of man and machine. They're full wide. Green flag, showtime. The Knoxville Nationals are green.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another Coast to Coast Network Sunday Funday night here. I am Travis Pearsall with Extreme E-Speed TV as we have the Pro Late Model Division coming up next, presented by Extreme E-Speed TV here from Oswego Speedway tonight. And as you can see, we have a full packed field here, almost 20 cars ready to go tonight. And as you can see, a lot of Scott Bloomquist tribute cars out here tonight, which should make it semi-confusing and fun for us up here in the booth, but obviously worth it here as we honor the GOAT of pro late models, Scott Bloomquist. A lot of zero cars out there tonight. We'll see who and what everyone has to unload here tonight as we get ready for another exciting night of Coast to Coast Racing League action. And we'll come into tonight here at Oswego. We'll take a look at those point standings here for the Pro Late models. Of course, the point standings presented by Sim Racer Hub. And it's Trevor Giroux, your points leader. Still not a win this summer, but he's performed well. 8 top 5s, 10 top 10s. Brandon Templeton second. Brett Walsh third. Kurt Schatzer fourth. Steven Spiesen fifth. Trevor Giroux currently has a 94-point lead over Brandon Templeton. So a sizable lead here after 10 events. So practice is out on the track. We'll throw up those times here from this practice session. It's Trevor Giroux atop the charts. Clayton Clewell second, Jordan Dye third, Trent Verstraeten fourth, Brian Lawson fifth. So there are the best times here for this practice session. That's Brian Lawson out there on the track. And this Scott Bloomquist car, you've got Tyler Flynn. He's currently 12th fastest. As we will look to move on to qualifying sessions here shortly for the Pro Late Models from Oswego Speedway tonight. Of course, just wrapping up before this, the midgets, it was Brandon Templeton picked up the win from Kokomo Speedway tonight. He's currently 9th fastest here in this practice session, as now we see Trent Verstraeten out there on the track as well. Making his way around Oswego Speedway here. Looks like we're up to 21 cars here tonight for the Pro Late Model, so a great field here. Obviously looking to honor Scott Bloomquist, who passed away last week in an unfortunate incident. Obviously a lot of talk about Scott Bloomquist, and truly a unique driver, unique person. I actually went to the World 100 late 90s, early 2000s, right after he had changed to the Zero. The no weak links was big, and I actually bought a Scott Bloomquist beret. It was actually an adult size, so I had to cut the tie string in the back so I could make it fit my little head, but I would have been about 10, 12 years old with my Scott Bloomquist no weak links beret, and it was actually this paint scheme here that he had that weekend at Eldora. As 21 drivers set to take to Oswego Speedway here tonight. That's Kurt Schatzer in this version right now. He's currently 6th fastest. As we go back to Tyler Flynn. And also out on the track is Trent Verstraeten. You can see some damage there to his car as he'll end his practice session here for a moment. Kurt Schatzer will pull it in and be done with some laps here. He's made 23 laps as of right now. "21 cars have unloaded here so far. So Tyler Flynn, he's wrapping up lap number 28 here right now. course, this is the C2C Racing Network pre-race show. Come out and join the Coast to Coast Racing Network on YouTube and click subscribe to catch all the Coast to Coast Racing League action. Of course, we've got Sunday's Sunday Funday here with the Pro Late Models. Racing on Monday night as well with Marty and Slide Job Racing Network. And then you've got Thursday Night Thunder as well. Catch all the action by subscribing to C2CRN today. Trevor Giroux heading back out on the track for some time or some laps as well. And of course, reminder tonight and always, the pace truck presented by the Steve King Foundation. Steve King Foundation was formed to help the dirt racing community across the country by providing financial assistance to drivers, pit crew members, racing officials, track operators, and the immediate families of those individuals who suffer serious illness, injury, or death. That is the Steve King Foundation. Always a major contributor and supporter here for the Coast to Coast Racing League, as we will get to cars out there for our practice session. That's Trevor Giroux rolling out. He's our points leader coming into tonight. We, of course, will have those times over there on the left as they come in. Logan Wentz pulling out there as well. There's Brandon Templeton. A later version of the Zero Scott Bloomquist car. Steven Bixler. Anthony Morano out there. Clay Christopherson. And there's a classic. That's the 80s version there. That is a Masters race car as well. So that's OG Scott Bloomquist number 18 there. If you see that picture of him getting out of that car with his hair blowing in the wind, that's where you'll see that car. As it's Brandon Templeton shooting to the top of the charts here for this qualifying session, as time's coming in quickly now. Scott Rayome second fastest as he's completed his lap. Kurt Schatzer looking to finish up lap number 2. He was fourth fastest his first lap, and he will stay there in fourth. Brian Lawson, he is done with his time. Jordan Dye 19th fastest his first time, looking to improve here. He will jump up to 11th right there with Brett Walsh, who will move from 20th to 12th. Samuel Bachman just finished his lap, 5th fastest. And top of the charts is Brandon Templeton picking up right where he left off with the midgets earlier tonight. He's going to be P1 here in this qualifying session unless Brett Walsh is able to improve. And he will not be able to do it, and that will give you quick time to Brandon Templeton here. And we will move right on to that Gambler Motorsports Heat Race number 1. And they are going to line up like this. Steven Bixler alongside John Hine in row number 1. Kurt Schatzer in third alongside Brandon Templeton. Fifth will be Bob DeGood next to our points leader Trevor Giroux. And 7th will be Tyler Flynn. So cars out on the track getting ready to go here. As you can see, all types of versions of Scott Bloomquist paint schemes from over the years. I've got to say that Kurt Schatzer on the inside of row number 2. Actually, we'll just lump row number 2 together here. A couple good looking paint schemes there. As we have 8 laps here for heat race number 1. Lights are off the Stephen King Foundation pace truck as we get ready to go to racing action. Of course, Oswego Speedway known for its modified racing. As they'll go down the backstretch there, the Stephen King Foundation pace truck will pull on into the infield. And they'll go off into turn number 3 and 4, getting ready to go to green. And our Scott Bloomquist Tribute Night here on Sunday Funday Pro Late Model Dirt is green flag from Oswego. John Hine, a good restart there on the outside line. Templeton up behind him as the front 3 break away here quickly. That's going to be John Hine in the Scott Bloomquist 0 up front. Templeton there in second. Front 2 able to break away. Trevor Giroux quickly moving up into third. He went from 6th to 3rd on the first lap as now John Hine is under attack by Templeton down to the inside. Hine will use that outside momentum to hold on to the lead. 6 laps to go this time by. Very fast Oswego Speedway here tonight as we get going. Templeton makes slight contact with the wall there coming out of turn number 2. He'll now follow in the tracks of Hine up in front of him now as they have Trevor Giroux behind him. Schatzer in 4th. Templeton will slide up across that nose of John Hine. He'll cross it over to the inside down the backstretch and regain the lead. Halfway this time by, it's going to be John Hine out of turn number 4. He leads Templeton, Giroux, and Schatzer here in Gambler Motorsports Heat Race number 1. Templeton will look to the inside again. He'll slide up across the nose of Hine. Hine will go to the inside. Ooh, Templeton hard into the wall. That will be the end of his heat race as now John Hine has that cushion before Trevor Giroux. And then Schatzer running in 3rd. Schatzer trying to trace down Giroux for that 2nd position. Templeton's off the track, as was Bob DeGood and Steven Bixler, so that leaves 4 out there on the track. As you can see, the space they currently have from our Chapman drone shot. White flag this time by, as it is John Hine looking for a pole position start for that 30-lap feature coming up shortly here for the Extreme E-Speed TV Pro Late Models. And out of turn number 4, it will be John Hine, Trevor Giroux, Kurt Schatzer, your top 3 in heat race number 1. So some good racing there to get us started as it was Templeton and John Hine battling there during Gambler Motorsports Heat Race number 1. Now we'll move on to Regency Home Inspection Heat Race number 2. They're going to line up like this. It's Jordan Dye next to Connor Ross on that front row. Samuel Bachman 3rd alongside Scott Rayom. 5th will be Anthony Morano next to Brian Lawson. And Logan Wentz will start 7th. Looks like Connor Ross not gridding, so Scott Rayom will move up into that outside row number 1 position. Here you have Brian Lawson there outside row number 2. He's sporting the Scott Bloomquist colors here in this one. As we have 8 more laps to get us going here in our Regency Home Inspection Heat Race number 2 for the Pro Late Models. As Jordan Dye will lead us back to green here. Jordan Dye, Scott Rayom, taking us back to green here at Oswego. It's Regency Home Inspection Heat Race number 1, 8 laps. Winner will get to start outside row number 1 in our 30-lap feature tonight. Rayom using that outside line there on the start. Good start there. Same move that Hein was able to use on that restart. So with the winner of this heat race starting in that position, that may be an advantage early in that 30-lap feature, as it's Rayom, Dye, Lawson, Bachman, your top 4. You can see Bachman looking underneath Brian Lawson, unable to close. That's Wentz watching from the 5th position. Jordan Dye's about 0.3 of a second back on Rayom, so this is the closest battle here with Bachman and Larson. And they'll get now single file as it's got Rayom out front. A good start to this one for that 4 car. Very quickly cross sticks, halfway to go. 4 more laps here in Regency Home Inspection Heat Race number 2. As Bachman's closed back up to that bumper of Lawson. Big bump there out of turn number 2 as they'll regroup and now head off into 3. Bachman unable to make a pass there on Lawson as of yet. It's still Scott Rayom out front. As you see that gap he has over Jordan Dye, coming to 2 laps to go this time by. That outside line's been the preferred line here through almost 2 heat races. As now Lawson's been able to separate from Samuel Bachman. Space between every position right now as we're coming to the white flag. 1 to go here at Oswego in heat race number 2. Out of turn number 4, it will be Scott Rayom, winner. Heat race number 2. Jordan Dye 2nd, Lawson 3rd, Bachman in 4th. And with that, we'll move on to our 3rd and final heat race presented by Maurer Farm Management. Starting lineup's going to look like this. It's Brett Walsh, P1 alongside Dean Reynolds. 3rd will be Clay Christopherson next to Brian Dickens. 5th, Jeff Barker next to Clayton Clewell. And Trent Verstraeten will round out the field. A couple more Scott Bloomquist paint schemes here in this one. You've got Dean Reynolds there in the 18 outside row number 1. Brian Dickens outside row number 2. And that is Jeff Barker there starting inside row number 3. Along with Trent Verstraeten there at the end. So more than a couple here. More than half the field in this one sporting a Scott Bloomquist paint scheme. As 2x2 down the backstretch we go. They'll go 3 and 4 through 3 and 4 for the final time before heat race number 3 will go green. Slowly down this front stretch here, green flag waves. Dean Reynolds outside row number 1's been the advantage so far, as Walsh is going to be able to pull ahead of him, slide up if he wants to. As Walsh will set sail, that will now make the battle for that second spot between Christopherson and Dean Reynolds. as it looks like Brian Dickens in the wall there in 3 and 4. So that will separate them. Dean Reynolds now able to track down Walsh. He's closing in on his bumpers. It's Clay Christopherson behind him now in 3rd. So the front 4 have separated here. That's Walsh, Reynolds, Christopherson, and Clewell. As Christopherson looking down to the inside of Dean Reynolds. Nobody's been able to make that line move as of yet here in these heat races. And now Clewell will look to the outside of the 51. Put a blanket over these 3 from 2nd on back as they'll go almost 3 wide off into turn number 3 now. Cross sticks this time by 4 laps to go. As Clewell will take the 3rd position, Reynolds will hold on to 2nd now as Dean Reynolds looking to make up ground on that 52 of Walsh up ahead. All up against that cushion there through 3 and 4. Walsh will lead. 3 laps to go now as time is running out for Reynolds and Clewell to catch up to that 52. In each other's tracks through 3 and 4. Now that 4-car pack just nose to tail racing through 3. Oh, Walsh will get sideways. Oh, it checks up Dean Reynolds. He's into the outside wall in 1 and 2. That change in momentum from the 52. I think Dean closed up quicker than he expected, and that will give 2nd to Clewell. Verstraeten now up to 3rd. Christopherson falls back to 5th. Reynolds in 4th. As Clewell will give it one last try. Nothing there. It will be Walsh with the heat win. Clewell 2nd. Verstraeten 3rd. As Walsh will pick up heat race number 3 victory. And they will have their warm-up session. We will take a quick break. When we come back, we will be back with that 30-lap feature event here for your Pro Late Models presented by Extreme E-Speed TV.
These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
And welcome back to the Pro Late Model Division presented by Extreme E-Speed TV. 30-lap feature event time, and it is going to line up like this. Row number 1, it's John Hine next to Scott Rayome. 3rd, Brett Walsh alongside Trevor Giroux. Jordan Dye in 5th next to Clayton Claywell. Kurt Schatzer will start 7th alongside Brian Lawson. And rounding out the top 10 is going to be Trent Verstraeten and Tyler Flynn. Starting 11th, it's Samuel Bachman alongside Dean Reynolds. 13th, Brandon Templeton alongside Logan Wentz. 15th, Clay Christopherson alongside Bob DeGood. Starting 17th is Anthony Morano next to Jeff Barker. 19th, Steven Bixler alongside Connor Ross in 20th. And rounding out the 21-car field tonight, it's going to be Brian Dickens. If you're just tuning in, plenty of Scott Bloomquist's paint schemes here tonight to honor the legend that was lost last week. John Hine sporting one of those throwbacks. As he will lead us off to green. Scott Rayome in the outside row number 1. We saw that outside line was the advantage there in the heat races. So we'll see how it plays out 30 laps here on this track to round out our Sunday Funday night coverage. Clay Christopherson and Connor Ross did not grid, so it looks like they will both be missing this tonight. That will leave us with 19. So the Stephen King Foundation pace truck lights are off. He'll dive on into the infield there on the backstretch. John Hine, Scott Rayome, set to take us to green here, 30 laps. Green flag waves, and we're back to racing action here at the Pro Late Model Division. John Hine down to the inside, he'll slide up. Scott Rayome fallbacks to 4th quickly. He's into that inside wall as everyone checking up. Not the start he was looking at. Around he goes into the wall there at the exit of turn number 2, and the caution flag will wave. So not the start he was looking for. We'll take a look at those Malcolm Mills mill rating replays. Looks like he got a little too sideways there through 1 and 2. Checked up behind him. Nowhere for them to go. Looks like Anthony Morano caught him there at the end hard. So he'll go into the work area. John Hine will keep his pole position here on this next restart. Walsh will slide up into 2nd, Trevor Giroux 3rd, Jordan Dye 4th, Clayton Claywell into 5th. So they'll catch up to that Stephen King Foundation pace truck. Of course, it was lap number 1 that caution came out on. Lights still on that Stephen King Foundation pace truck. As now that pace truck pulls off into the infield area, John Hine will restart outside row number 1. Brett Walsh in the second position. Green flag waves. Good start for Hine. Walsh, not the best restart, so that inside line having issues here on this restart. As the front 3 will break away ever so slightly. Jordan Dye in a second. You have to go back to this battle, starting with that Trevor Giroux Scott Bloomquist paint scheme in the 4th position. He's got Kurt Schatzer behind him. Brett Walsh, ooh, that's Jordan Dye in the outside wall there. Tire goes flying. We'll see if, and he will not, so that'll bring out the caution. As Brett Walsh was going on the attack for John Hine, as it was Jordan Dye getting into that wall in 3 and 4. Second caution of the night. So that Stephen King Foundation pace truck back out on the track, busy to get this one started. So John Hine continues to lead here early. Brett Walsh able to hold on to that second position. Not the best restart down there on the inside there on that last restart. But was able to regroup before our second caution came out. Of course, all our restart zones and green flags here tonight presented by Flatline Racing Bodies. Quality racing bodies produced by a former NASCAR Regional Short Track Champion Dan Chapman in iRacing hotbed of Clarence, Iowa. So 2 by 2 they get lined back up. Down the backstretch there goes that Stephen King Foundation pace truck to the infield. John Hine, Brett Walsh, Kurt Schatzer, Trevor Giroux, your front 4. Green flag waves. John Hine, a good start again. That outside line moving forward. As Schatzer's able to move up and pass Brett Walsh for the time being. Brett Walsh down to the inside through 1 and 2. See Brett Walsh there. It's John Hine out front. Schatzer there outside of Walsh down the front stretch. Walsh able to take over that second spot again. 25 laps to go now here. In this one is Brett Walsh sticking down to that inside. Schatzer unable to pull alongside him as Walsh now slides up. Schatzer will now look to the inside down the front stretch. Back in the pack, you got Samuel Bachman. Oh, caution flag comes out. It looks like it's Trent Verstraeten We'll take a look at that Malcolm Mills mill writing replay. We're straightening that black Scott Bloomquist 0 machine. Oh, and it was Bob DeGood and Scott Rayome up ahead checking up. As it's our third caution of the night here, 23 laps to go. So John Hines been able to lead this one. As it's John Hines, Brett Walsh, Trevor Giroux, Kurt Schatzer, Brian Lawson, your front five. And John Hines now had to do this. This is his third Flatline Racing Bodies restart. He's held on to all of them so far. Looking to do so again as that control car. Green flag waves. John Hines takes us back to green. It's going to be Giroux, that second car in that outside line, looking to pull up alongside Walsh there through 1 and 2. He'll be able to take over that second spot. Caution flag comes out. It looks like Scott Rayome. An issue on the restart. We'll take a look. He's in that 4 machine. Oh, and I see Jordan Dye just into the back of him there. Not exactly sure what happened between the two of them. As our fourth caution waves tonight, 22 laps to go, John Hines continues to be the leader. So we'll get them lined back up here. Stephen King Foundation pace car's been busy in this one. It does appear Tyler Flynn and Trent Verstraeten both out on lap number 4. Looks like Samuel Bachman in 16th is in the pit area, and Scott Rayome may be out. He started outside the front row, so not the way he wanted his night to go. He's currently off the track in the 17th position. First 15 cars all on the lead lap. We'll have 16 if Bachman can make it back out. But the lights are off that Stephen King Foundation pace truck. 2x2 behind him. It's still John Hines to the outside, Brett Walsh to the inside of row number 1. Schatzer, Giroux in row number 2. Through 3 and 4, they will go out of turn number 4. Green flag waves. You see that jump by John Hines. He's able to get as the control car. That's Schatzer behind him in the similar paint scheme, as they are both able to clear Brett Walsh here on this restart. That's Clewell moving up into the 4th position. As you see Schatzer get into that outside wall, that reopens that door for Walsh to look to the inside. This is the battle for 2nd on back. As you can see, Clewell and Anthony Morano now out of nowhere. Anthony Morano, oh, caution flag will wave. It looks like it's for Jeff Barker as he's around. Damage to his machine. Logan Wentz is well caught up into this one. So another caution, our 5th of the night here with 21 laps to go. So they'll get lined back up. Another Flatline Racing Bodies restart about to come. As John Hine gets set to take us back to green flag racing action, showing 20 laps to go. John Hine, Schatzer in that Scott Bloomquist car behind him, Brett Walsh in 3rd, Clewell 4th, Anthony Morano, who we were mentioning, hard charger here, a candidate for it. He's up 12. Brian Dickens in 8th is up 13. As the green flag waves, we're back to racing action. 20 laps to go. Clewell and Morano go back to racing and trading that 4th position back and forth. Morano will fall back behind Clewell as now Clewell looks to the inside of Walsh. Chapman Racing drone shot coming in handy tonight. As you see Clewell, as the battle for the lead heats up now. Schatzer to the inside of John Hine, nothing there as of yet, but pulls alongside him down the backstretch through 3 and 4. John Hine under attack for the first time under consecutive laps here tonight, really. He had Walsh behind him for a while. Walsh was unable to complete the pass as John Hines led this one from the start. There's 5 cautions in there, a lot of restarts in there for him to hold on to that as the control car, but now Schatzer's working that inside line, trying to make that line come in. Through 3 heat races and 13 laps here in this feature event, it has not happened, but he's looking to force it here now as we get closer and closer to halfway. Two no weak link, 0 Scott Bloomquist cars side by side up front. John Hine continues to hold on to the lead. Schatzer continuing to try to make that inside line work as Clewell now behind him along with Morano looking down to the inside as well. Unable to finish it off there at the exit of the corner as Schatzer continues to just inch forward alongside that John Hine machine. Cross sticks are gone. 14 laps to go here in this 30-lap feature event. Great racing battle up front. John Hine will continue to lead. Schatzer to his inside. Schatzer, a good run there through 1 and 2, but that momentum on the outside will allow Hine to hold on to position as Schatzer continuing to close in. Clewell now gaining ground on that second position of Schatzer. Schatzer's quickly going to have to go on the defensive with Clewell coming behind him. Through turn number 1, Schatzer really able to make up ground on Hine as he'll now move up the tracks, taps the wall with the right rears. Now it's Clewell down to the inside. 11 laps to go for John Hine out front. Schatzer, Clewell, and Morano trying to get up to him and give him some troubles. Just difficult passing here tonight. Brian Dickens still in that hard charger position in the 8th spot. He's up 13. As you see him back in the pack. Currently holding off Dean Reynolds in the 9th position. So out front, John Hine. Ooh, as he'll bump that wall there. In turn number 1, Schatzer, see if he's able to gain ground there. That lead now closing in down under 0.3 of a second through 3 and 4. 8 laps to go now for John Hine out front. Morano now looking to the inside of Clewell. That's the battle for 3rd. As Schatzer still trying to make that inside line work. Nothing there as John Hine will hold on to the lead. 7 laps to go. Brandon Templeton up into the 5th spot. He is a second behind Anthony Morano, though, so he's looking for a caution to close this one up for a chance to gain some position. As John Hine continues to ride that outside line, he's led this entire race, looking for 6 more laps and victory. As outside line is John Hine, inside line Scott Bloomquist is Kurt Schatzer. Schatzer continues to use that inside line work, and he'll close to that bumper of John Hine, just unable to complete a pass. Of course, here you've got that inside wall down there as well, so that is a hard barrier of how far down to the inside you can go. Is now 3 laps to go. John Hine continues to lead. Longest green flag session of this one. As Schatzer just continues to put pressure on John Hine to not make a mistake, and he has not as of yet. He has 2 laps to go. Schatzer doing everything he can to put the pressure on John Hine. John Hine coming to the white flag. Schatzer in second. He's going to have 4 more corners for a shot at victory. Through 3 and 4, Schatzer will give it one more go, but it's going to be John Hine with the win. Schatzer second, Clewell third. As John Hine will claim victory, he's able to hold off a hard-charging Kurt Schatzer. Anthony Morano able to get up to 4th. That will give him our Flatline Racing Bodies Hard Charger Award. And we, of course, will talk to John Hine, Kurt Schatzer, Clayton Clewell here in a moment from Victory Lane. So we will wait for those top 3 finishers, and we'll throw up the results here from our feature event tonight. So John Hine will claim the victory. As we will talk to our 3rd place finisher, it's going to be Clayton Clewell. Clayton, good run there tonight for you. Just couldn't get up there to Kurt while holding off Anthony. Walk us through your night to a 3rd place finish.
Well, it was definitely a dicey race there. That top groove was getting a little tight up there. A few guys were smacking and banging off the wall. A lot of dodging tonight. Then it finally tucked in on the bottom there, and it was bottom groove rolling. I was trying to work in the middle there, slider line. I feel like we had 10 more laps. I could have been up there.
Well, you mentioned it, obviously the first 10 laps, a few cautions in there, and then you have that long green flag run. Was there anything that could have played out different those final 20 laps that would have gave you a chance besides another 10 of green flag racing?
I guess I wish I wouldn't have pushed my tires as much as I would have to start. I noticed it towards like the last 10 laps, they were starting to wear off. I'd started to get a little loose exiting, but we made the best of what we could work with.
And then I always find it interesting, you're in that 3rd spot trying to chase down Kurt up in 2nd, but you have Anthony all over you. How do you balance between the two of holding on to your position, but also trying to be on the attack mode of the car up ahead?
Well, I was trying to just tuck in behind Kurt. I saw Anthony behind me. He was running the bottom really good, really good. He was getting a really good run on me out of the corner when I was on the top. So I kind of knew I eventually had to go down there and get comfortable for me to run it.
Well, a great run. You come away with a podium finish. Who are those people and those sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Everybody in Elite Sim Sports. Damian Sage, team owner, great dude. Brett Walsh, my teammate. Jordan Dye, who was in here, he didn't really have a good race tonight, but it is what it is. He's a really good racer, really good driver, and his time will come.
Well, congratulations, Clayton. We look forward to talking to you again here on Sunday night. As Clayton Clewell, he will come home a 3rd tonight. Coming home 2nd is going to be Kurt Schatzer. And what I'll say is probably my 2nd favorite Scott Bloomquist tribute car tonight. Kurt, come home 2nd behind John. Walk us through what you needed to happen there to have a chance at getting past that other Scott Bloomquist car up ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. Really, Hine needed to get caught up in that wall a little bit more and slow him down. He really wasn't making too many mistakes that where I could really do anything with. I mean, I felt like the bottom towards the end of the race there was just as fast as the top. I mean, I had to use up every inch of the track. The one restart I was hanging with Hine, and I went to the bottom and I was working on him, and I forgot I put the 4-wheel brake on, which was helping me during the race, but on the restart when I followed into the corner, I just couldn't turn for crap. It just did a push to the wall, and I went back a couple positions, but then restarts helped me out, and I was able to get back to chasing them down there. I thought we had a good run there, but I really couldn't do nothing with them. But I'm glad that we had 2 Bloomer cars sitting on the podium.
Well, it looked like you could really make up some ground on him going off into 1, and then really before you got to the exit of turn number 2. Did you feel like that was your best chance in the car to make a move on him, or did you feel like the inside line there had a chance all the way around at the end?
If you hit your marks right, the inside could work the whole way around. I mean, it kept me close to him. It would get me back up on his bumper and everything, but I just didn't have enough drive or whatever coming off to where I really could get up beside him, or like I said, if I followed him too close, the car would just pick up an arrow push, and I would lose whatever ground I had on him. So I really couldn't try to set him up to do any kind of diamond to try a slider at the other end of the track. So I was just trying to hook the bottom the best I could. I mean, if I could hit my marks good, it was good. It was fast, but you really had to slow her down and keep her tight on the bottom to really get any speed out of it. But if you slid up off of it and hit the slick, you kind of lost everything. But towards the end, I was able to just open up the entry a little bit, and it seemed to be working. So I don't know if that would have been there earlier when I tried it or what, but I can't complain with the 2nd. I felt fast all night, so I can't complain with that. And I'd like to thank everybody for using their Bloomquist wraps here and coming out. And I know we all feel for what happened there over the past week, and give our condolences to the whole family out there.
Was there any reason you chose the early 2000s no weak links?
Well, Dean jumped on my first pick. I wanted the 18 car. I actually couldn't find a good one. I liked the 94, 95 era when he ran the Barry Wright. That's when that's how that's kind of when I came to know him, around the 95 era, and I was rooting for him ever since.
No, I know. I told you you had my second favorite because Dean's I think for me personally was number one for me tonight.
Yep, absolutely. Dean jumped on that early, and so I just kind of tried to go with the next earliest one there. I know he had that one in about 97. The red one kind of looked like this, but this had a little bit more detail to it, and thought I'd run this one.
Awesome. Well, great run. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to and thanks, Kurt?
Yeah, I got to thank Jay with Dirt Track Bank, everything they do to help racers all around the country. Got to thank the team, Hammer Down Racing, Brandon Templeton, Brian Dickens, and Joe Halter with Got Your Six Racing Network. Friday Night Lights here should be starting up here in a couple months, so anybody looking for another league to run, 358 modifieds and pro late models and 360s, and Roger giving us a place to race, and you coming out and doing the broadcast, all the admins coming out and supporting and doing all they do, and yeah, all the drivers.
Well, great run, Kurt. We look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. That's Kurt Schatzer, our second place finisher tonight. And from Victory Lane, our winner tonight in the Scott Bloomquist Zero car, it's John Hine. John, you led that one from start to finish. Walk us through those 30 laps to victory.
Well, first, I want to pay my respects to Scott. As somebody who's driven late models and been around the sport for a long time, and has had many conversations with Scott. Um, it's a loss because of an icon in the sport, but those of us that knew him, it's a personal loss. He was one of the nicest guys you would meet in and around the pit area, and had time for everybody, every single fan. Um, the sport is better because he was in it. So I'd like to at least start with that. And as far as the race goes, there's very few races that I've really wanted, and because of having that his running his car, I wanted this race really, really bad tonight. So it's been a while since I've been emotional coming across our finish line, but I kind of let out a little bit of a holler there. But um, that was a fun track. That's the first time I've been there. The track was definitely a challenge. It was a bit rough coming out of two. The last 5 or 6 laps, I think the tires were starting to wear a little bit because they started kind of sending SOS signals in the outside wall, especially over in 3 and 4, just kind of tapping it along there. So trying to keep it from the wall sucking you in. The last 2 laps became really, really tricky to get around. But, I feel fortunate to cross that start finish line. And how about that for Bloomquist cars going 1 and 2 with Kurt? And um, how cool is that to see that? And then, also to hold off a guy like Kurt and Clayton, that, those guys are really, really good. So anytime you can get a win and they're behind you is what a cool accomplishment.
Is there any reason for the Bloomer paint scheme that you chose, John?
Well, no, but I mean it. I knew Scott years and years ago. The first time I met him actually was I think it was about 1992, down at West Plains. He came in there with a race and everything else. I think it was a Summer Nationals race. Um, and I couldn't find that paint anywhere, but I just thought that one's recognizable here. When I got out of the seat and kind of became a fan, that's the paint that, that's the car that he was in. I think that was a early 2000, like a 2001, 2002 paint. Um, so, whenever I get to a track, and be up there as a fan, whenever I see him pull on the track, I knew right there was the guy to beat. And um, yeah, so I mean, both as a friend and as a fan, that car sticks with me.
Well, it was an awesome race. Awesome to see all the different paint schemes we had out on the track, and very cool to see you be able to Bloomquist paint scheme into victory lane. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to or give thanks to tonight, John?
Yeah, just again, just want to thank to all the fans out there that watch, and I hope they enjoyed the paints and everything else. That was a special night, very bittersweet night, and you know, we might do some fighting amongst ourselves from time to time, but it's moments like this. It's nice to be reminded that racing is a big family. I mean, I know there's people that never met him that probably felt like they've known him because they've watched him race for so long. Even folks that rooted against him. I mean, there's a lot of Billy Moyer fans out there, and those guys, had a rivalry for so many years, that know what happened here this week, and they know the magnitude, and they're genuinely sad about it too. And even though they might have rooted against him for the past 30, 35 years, um I just want to, I hope the folks that are watching that, I hope that seeing those two cars up front like that, I just hope that can bring smiles to people's face tonight.
Well, thank you, John. Congratulations on the win tonight. And of course, a fun night here honoring Scott Bloomquist comes to an end as it is John Hine, your winner from Victory Lane. Kurt Schatzer second, Clayton Clewell in third, Anthony Morano fourth, Brandon Templeton in fifth. As we'll scroll here for the final three cars, Trent Verstraeten, Clay Christopherson, and Connor Ross down there, 19th through 21st. But another great night of racing here, obviously able to honor the GOAT, the legend, Scott Bloomquist, as John Hine will pick up the victory here on Sunday night. Thank you for tuning in, as always, here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. We look forward to seeing you at a racetrack soon.